Hey, I've been playtesting the brand new Asics Solution Speed FF3s. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a detailed tour of the new shoes. I'm going to go through a few comparisons with its predecessor, and most importantly, I'm going to show you some of the playtesting that I did, along with sharing my first impressions. But first, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't show you the unboxing experience, as to be honest, it's probably the coolest one I've done yet. So for some of the lightest shoes in the game, this box is pretty heavy. But yeah, you'll see it's also pretty cool. If you've ever unboxed an Apple product, you'll know how this feels. From unsure to unstoppable. Isn't that just the coolest thing? You've got some of the technical sketches from when the shoe was being built, and on this side you've got a picture of Alex who is going to be wearing these for the 2024 season. Obviously one of the quickest players on the tour, and he's on a bit of a hot streak right now, so yeah, he's a good ambassador for this shoe. Now what makes this unboxing even more cool than just this majestic opening is there's actually a hidden compartment underneath the shoes. And as you can see here, I've got myself a full Asics kit, also worn by Alex de Minaur. Now, I'll be honest, orange or any bright colors aren't my thing, but it's a pretty cool t-shirt. You would have seen Alex rocking this in Melbourne, and a nice plain black pair of shorts, which are much more up my street. Unfortunately, when you buy these shoes, you won't get this really cool unboxing experience. That's just one of the perks of spending hours upon hours of filming and editing. But yeah, life of a YouTuber. So let's take a look at the shoe. First up, the colorway. Now, as you can see, this color pops. It's a very deep orange color with navy blue. I do know that in the men's version, it does come in a white colorway, and there are a couple of nice colors in the women's versions as well. As you can see, the silhouette of this shoe is very, very minimal. It's very streamlined, which of course, being called the Solution Speed, this is all about speed. The key components of a speed shoe are that it's lightweight, flexible, and that it's snug to your foot so that it keeps your foot contained when you're moving around the court quickly and changing direction. So when talking through some of the key points of this shoe, it makes sense for me to compare them to the predecessor, the Solution Speed FF2. Now this shoe is one of the most popular shoes on the market, and although I'd never tried the FF1, I heard that this was revolutionary, and Asics had made huge improvements since the first model. And so moving on to the FF3, it wasn't going to be easy to make improvements, but they definitely have. First and foremost, the weight of the shoe. Now, this shoe was already very light at 329 grams, and in the same shoe size, this one weighs in at 313 grams. And although it doesn't sound like much, you can actually feel it when you're holding it here. And the two ways that Asics have managed to do this are looking at the upper and the outsole. Now, the upper of both shoes, if you look at the FF2, you'll see that there's a lot of rubber wrapping all the way around the upper, whereas the FF3 has a lot less. In fact, most of the upper is covered in this mesh-like material, which, as well as being lighter than the rubber, it's going to be much better for breathability. Now, there is still some rubber in the shoe, primarily for durability. So you'll see in some of these tougher wearing areas here and here, there is extra rubber for protection. Now, as I mentioned, although the silhouette of the shoes are pretty similar, there is one key difference which is going to help this new shoe to be faster. If you take a look at the FF2 and the way that the outsole finishes at the back, it's quite flat to the ground. However, if you take a look at the FF3, you'll see that at the back of the outsole and the midsole is this rocker-like feature that you see on running shoes. You see it from this side as well. It creates this curved shape to the shoe, allowing that heel-toe movement to feel more natural and to allow for better speed. I'll tell you how that felt in the playtesting later. But what I will say is Asics are taking what is working really well in their high-performance running shoes and adding this into the tennis shoe without losing the key features that make a tennis shoe a tennis shoe. But it's the outsole that brings the most innovation to this shoe. Asics used AI technology to map out where the rubber is most needed for durability, playability, and traction, but to minimize it in the areas where it's not needed. If you compare it to its predecessor, you'll see the amount of rubber difference between the two. This one has far more outsole rubber all the way through. However, the new outsole has these spaces here, which not only help the outsole to be lighter, but also add to flexibility and allow for those players that like to slide on hard courts. Not only that, but you can see this space at the bottom of the heel here adds to its breathability. What you'll also notice when you see the bottom of these two shoes is this plastic shank that runs through in between the outsole and the midsole. The predecessor, the FF2, this used to be called the Speedtruss. This technology was a fantastic revolution in this shoe. However, Asics have improved it with what they now call the Speedtruss. This goes through more of the shoe and creates even more spring back and stability through the base of the shoe. So hopefully you've seen enough of the shoe itself. Now let me talk to you about how my playtesting went. Now you guys know that usually I play on clay courts here in the UK. Well, actually artificial clay. But I headed over to my local indoor centre as I wanted to really test these shoes out on a hard court, as I wanted to see how the outsole performed when I was changing direction quickly. And one of the best drills for this is the spider drill. So my first test of these shoes, I'm going to be doing the spider drill, which is very simple. You need a tennis court, 5 tennis balls and a tennis racket. And your aim is to pick up all 5 tennis balls, one at a time, as quickly as you can. Now, the great thing about this exercise is it's very specific to tennis, as you're moving as quickly as you can in all directions and having to decelerate as well. And what's great about this exercise is the pros do this one a lot, so you can compare your score against theirs. Generally speaking, some of the best athletes in the world get around 14 to 15 seconds on this exercise. So let's see how I get on. Now, the funny thing about filming this spider drill was I've actually got a camera that tracks your movements so that you don't need a cameraman with you. As you guys know, I film everything on my own. But when I set this tracking camera up, I actually ran too fast for it and it couldn't keep up with me. Okay, let's do it. Now, I'm not sure that the shoes can take credit. I'm obviously such an athlete that the camera couldn't keep up with me. Although clearly not, as I did the spider drill 5 times and I was absolutely dead afterwards. But I managed to get a time of 16.45 seconds, which I was quite happy with, to be honest with you. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever done the spider drill, and if so, what your time was. But yeah, my experience doing the spider drill in the Solution Speed FF3s was excellent. Although I don't tend to wear a speed shoe normally I actually wear the Gel Resolution 9s, which are more of a stability shoe. In fact, I mentioned the weight of these two shoes, this one weighing in at 313 grams, this one in at 329 grams. The Gel Resolutions are actually a 430 grams. So the shoe that I'm used to is much, much heavier than this, and I could really feel it. Now, although I don't know if this will make a huge difference to my actual speed when I'm covering big distances, it definitely felt like it made a difference to my small adjustment steps. I felt much lighter on my feet, and making those small adjustment steps, I felt really nimble. I would say that when I put these shoes on compared to my usual Gel Resolution 9s, they did feel slightly narrower. But I was pleasantly surprised, as the reason I generally don't go for speed shoes is they do tend to be narrower than durability or stability shoes. However, these ones weren't too narrow, they actually fit me quite well. What I also felt wearing these, as opposed to the shoes that I usually wear, was I felt a lot closer to the ground. And actually really liked this rocker shape of the outsole. Having this slightly arced shape helped me to feel like I was more on my toes and ready to pounce. The traction of these shoes is incredible, and although I don't like to slide on hard courts, I know people that do. Some of my friends that have tried this have said that it's really good for sliding on hard courts as well. So overall, I absolutely loved playtesting these. They're very different to the shoe that I'm used to, and to be honest, it's going to be tough to pull me away from the Gel Resolution 9s. However, I'm definitely going to put these to the test in a competitive situation, as I loved how lightweight and flexible they felt. And if I wasn't a dirty baseline grinder and I was more of an all-court player, then I definitely think these shoes would suit me better. So for you, if you're already a fan of the Solution Speed FF2 or even FF1, this is a no-brainer. But if you're like me and you're used to something a little bit heavier, it might be something worth considering, as the weight of this shoe really surprised me. Thanks as always for watching this video. If you found it useful in any way, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.